this word. I'd like to maybe request Sunil Kumar. Mr. Sunil Kumar, he's the director in Basin Planning Organization. He is a good trainer, and in fact, he's a teacher and he's a practitioner. He has come with, 2 decades of experiences in one of the largest water organizations of our country. I think, Sunil, the floor is yours. I think you need to take it and enlighten us. Thank you very much.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm from Central Water Commission, as already told. This is Apex Technical Organization attached to Ministry of Jal Shakti, and I'm joining this session with my another 9 colleagues, and I expect them to contribute during my talk, and I expect all of you also to join. And wherever you wish to contribute, just please raise your hand. If you Okay, so if you go through the background note of this particular session, there are a few things highlighted there. I will just elaborate a little bit, and I will suggest how we can leverage the evolving IT and this digital era technologies for management of water sources, and what could be the way forward. So this is my brief talk. Recently, we have Central Water Commission has conducted reassessment of water availability in India in all 20 basins of the country using space inputs. So we have used all sorts of GIS and state-of-the-art modeling technologies, and we found that the water sources in the country is about 20 billion cubic meter. On 7 occasions, we have assessed the water resources of country so far. And good news that water resources availability is either constant or increasing. If you convert this figure in terms of per capita, so you can see, but it's continuously declining because of increase in population mainly. And if you see the Falkenmark index, which is already stated in the background note, water stress line and water scarce line, if per capita water availability is less than 1700, it is water stress, and less than 1000 water scarce, we are at 1545. So the entire country is water stress. But I'd like to flag certain issues that Falkenmark index is a universal index, and if you see the document of the Falkenmark index, there are many limitations to this index. This is a country-wide index, so it's a bit contradictory because water is assessed in hydrological unit, and it doesn't appreciate the man-made interventions. So somehow it's not very accurate measure for Indian scenario because we are number 1 in terms of interventions, we are number 1 in terms of irrigation development. And it doesn't appreciate all these regional dissimilarities which we have in plenty. We have lots of temporal dissimilarities. So these things are not appreciated in the Falkenmark index. So rather, I would like to show our own study and where we are lying as per our own study. You might be knowing that we have about 2000 BCM of water resources available, but 1123 BCM of water we can utilize. So if you do this per capita of this basin-wise, this is the scenario. It's a per capita basin-wise. You can see these blue lines. Blue lines are the per capita, utilizable water in 2025, and the red ones are per capita utilizable water basin-wise in 2050, and this is the Falkenmark index. So you can see still by 2050. Most of the basin, barring few towers, you can see 4 or 5 basins, all are in the water scarce scenario. But it is giving a little bit scary picture because we have our own study, own projections of demands. So if you plot those demands, which is already studied by National Commission for Integrated Water Resources Development way back in 1999, and as per their demand, if you add up all the demands, you can see the line, the blue line is as per that study, NCIWRD study. In 2025, that will be the blue line is the demand, and the towers are the supply. So you can see the situation is not as scary as given by the Falcon Mark. So this is the Falcon Mark line, and this is our own study. But still, you can find out some hotspots. You can see the few basins like Mahi, Subarnarekha, and some west-flowing rivers, even Kaveri. These are the hot spots. So we need, from this study, we can focus our endeavor. We can identify those basins, and we can start making intervention rather than following one scheme uniformly for entire country like we are following in Jal Shakti Abhiyan and Jal Jeevan Mission and all. So we can focus our efforts in those hot spots. You can see in these hot spots which are in real problem. So this I wanted to interpret. The second thing is Niti Aayog report says that 21 Indian cities will be facing water crisis by 2020. So, and 5 cities are vulnerable, mainly Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, and Simla. Even Simla and Chennai are facing day zero as per this report. But the main criteria for this study is groundwater level. So I would like to further interpret what does it mean in real sense. We have prepared the glass of every city based on the data we collected from the municipality. And this is the real scenario. You can see in Delhi, 91.2% of water sources coming from the surface water, and only 8.8 is coming from the groundwater. So even if there is no groundwater available in Delhi, then we will be losing 8.8. So there is no need to feel panic about it. This is the scenario. Similarly, for the city of Hyderabad, you can see 100%. So even if there is no groundwater in Hyderabad, doesn't matter over here. In case of Bangalore, this is 25%. So maximum dependency on the groundwater in these 5 cities. This is Bangalore, 25% dependency on the groundwater. These all data we collected from the municipality of the concerned city. Similarly, you can see for the city of Chennai, only 5% groundwater. If you see this is the Simla glass, it's again 90% surface water, 10% groundwater. And if you see the groundwater dependency of all 5 cities, you can see all are less than 10% except Bangalore, and there's no dependency on the groundwater, how far domestic need is concerned in Hyderabad. So the report of Niti Aayog and the finding of their study need to be interpreted in this manner. And there's no, obviously we have to save every bit of water, but actual meaning of that report is this. Chennai. Yes, please. Surface water 82%. 82%, you can see the sources where we are getting water from. It's not contradictory. It's not contradictory. They are telling that Chennai and Simla will face day zero. The meaning of that is they will have this 5% water will be depleting. That means this. Similarly, if you see the Simla's glass, so this 10%. 10% groundwater is in trouble. Yes, please. Yes. That the basis of that study is groundwater. Yes, you're right. Please. Domestic. Khana or pina, both. Right? Anybody else would like to say something on this? Okay. नहीं बीच में भी रहे तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, भूल जाएंगे लास्ट तक जाते Right. Okay, so this I wanted to flag those 2 issues, the Falcon Mark Index and what's the real interpretation of Niti Aayog report. Now the next topic of this session, that how we can leverage the evolving field of hydroinformatics for managing water resources. So again, if you have better technology, if you have fast processor based these equipments, then we can measure hydro, these parameters, hydroclimatic parameters more efficiently, and consequently we can manage our demands in a better manner. For example, if you have information, correct measurement about sunshine, ambient air temperature, wind speed, humidity, etc., we can accurately estimate the crop water requirement. I'm emphasizing this because you are already knowing that more than 80% of water is being used by agriculture sector. And the water we are supplying is irrigation water, only a small fraction of the same is used by the plants, by the crops, which is called transpiration, that is the actual need of the plant. But we are wasting a hell amount of water by means of evaporation. So if we have proper information by means of all this digital technology, we can better plan this crop water, so we can go for a better demand management if you have this kind of equipment in place and we can measure accurately. If we have proper information through this evolving field of hydroinformatics, we can plan and design our water resources project in a better manner. Obviously, flood management is a key issue. We have expert, Mr. Sarath Chandraji. He's looking after flood and modeling and everything. Please raise your hand, sir. Sarath Chandraji. So he's not responsible for flood. He's responsible for flood management. So he's looking after flood forecasting in country and also disaster management preparedness. So if we have proper technology, modeling and all this space-based technology in place, we can go for better forecasting, and at the same time we can go for better structural measures as well. Drought is a bigger challenge because the onset of drought and is very slow, is very difficult to predict, but still we have better management system in place. We can go for the better drought-proofing measures. And obviously climate change is the main danger for the developing countries. So if we have a better knowledge of evolving technology, we can better plan our make ourselves more resilient towards the climate change. So this could be the area where we can leverage digital technology for managing water resources. So what could be the way forward from here? How we can move from here at the helm where we are right now? So this is the buzzword, groundwater recharge, but the real scenario, these are the options. These are the options for groundwater recharge. But as per Central Groundwater Board, Master Plan 2013, we can recharge up to 80 BCM. That is the maximum potential by every mean we follow all across the country. This is the amount. So this is not going to solve. Yes, this is very good. We should follow, but this is not going to solve our all water problems because the ultimate limit is 80 BCM. If you see the current storage, we have about 257 billion cubic meter, and we can go up to 450. So we have another 200 BCM available. So groundwater recharge cannot be only option. Rather, we have more potential for surface water storage. So we need to look after this aspect more aggressively if you want to become water resilient. Another aspect is interlinking of river, where we have potential to transfer 200 billion cubic meter of water, which is heading to the sea, from the water surplus basin to the water scarce basin. So this is another area for the future. Of course, there are many other areas also, like desalination, recycle, reuse. We are going to generate about 50 BCM of wastewater. We are already generating now 50 billion cubic meter of wastewater, which is good enough to meet our domestic demand. So if you recycle, reuse, then that is another option. Desalination, we have a long coastal areas available where we can pursue that. Obviously solar and other options are also there. So that I wanted to flag. But how we can achieve all this, how we can go ahead So first thing that we need to adopt basin as the management unit, which is not there right now, because development and management of water resources mainly, stateless subject. It's a basin approach which is tried and tested scientific unit. So we need to adopt this, and we need to adopt the concept of integrated water resources management, which is coordinated development and management of water resources at the river basin level for maximizing the social benefit and economic benefit in an equitable manner without compromising the vital ecosystems. This is integrated water resources management, and we are going to foray into this area very soon with two basins, Mahi and Suvarnrekha, and it's already in the pipeline. In a month or so, we are going to float the tender. So this is very much required if you want to manage water holistically. You have to adopt the basin approach. Obviously, we have to develop expertise in digital technologies, modeling, GIS, and many technology flagged by Dr. Pradhan. So we need to develop expertise in this area. And obviously, the pricing is the most important factor because many of our projects are running at the water use efficiency as low as 15%. So when our projects are very new, they are running very efficiently. Since we don't have pricing mechanism in place, many parts of the country, only in the state of Maharashtra, there is a bit of pricing, but that is very less. So for O&M, it's very important aspect. We need to evolve pricing mechanism. Obviously, regulatory framework like other sector, telecom, electricity, highway, we don't have any regulatory authority in place in water resources. Some states have constituted water resources regulatory authority, like in Maharashtra, there is one which is functional. But we need to go for a river basin level water resources regulatory authority. And obviously, we can't achieve these tasks without involvement of the stakeholders. So we need to keep stakeholders on board in every decision making. Thank you very much. If you have any question, any contribution.
Yeah, thank you, Sunilji. I think Sunilji has made a fantastic presentation. He talked about IWRM, which is basically essentially for all cities for urban water supply. You can't look at an isolation. You saw that in Delhi gets water supply from 4 different sources, from Ganga, from Yamuna, from groundwater, from a BBMB system. So water security, managing that, you need a technology, you need a hydrometeorological equipment, as you mentioned, that what is the flow, what is the water availability in each river basin, and what is the demand side requirement at Delhi actually. So you can really manage so that you do not withdraw much water from Tajewala, from other sources. I think this is what he talked about. So you need to really look at crop water requirement, how much you are allocating at a different, as per the tribunal, then how much Delhi's contribution. So if you have a technology, you can really see, you're in a dashboard that this is what water requirement today in Delhi from surface water and where they're coming and what is the availability. And that also actually you can help you to machine. Yeah, let me finish, yeah. Yeah. So therefore, this is one important. The other aspect he mentioned about actually the groundwater is a part of water security. You need to really see all buckets, all sources need to be sustainable. So groundwater is also, though not significant, but it is essential. Thereby you monitor how much precipitation happening, what are the recharging zones, where actually we can really ensure the groundwater yield can happen. You must have heard that in Yamuna, last year the government did actually some 7 hectares of land and they really dedicated for the recharging for the stormwater, so that essentially it can increase the groundwater level. So I think sustainability, security, what he mentioned, as a Central Water Commission, they look at the holistic way of ensuring that water security is maintained, whether it is a crop for irrigation or it is for urban or industrial. So that's actually the key takeaway from Sunil Kumar. Yeah, we'll take some questions.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
There are a lot of technology which is available for doing water conservation and do all kind of activities.
Yes, please.
So technology is available.
Yes.
But so if we need technology, we need to pull data from the base.
Yes.
Like power sector has come out with a reform program.
Yes.
Smart meters.
Yes, yes.
what is that we have for the water sector? Is there anything which is there in the pipeline?
Yes.
Or do we have any kind of programs which we are about to run,
Yes.
which will help technology get utilized?
There are plenty of technologies, in the pipeline. We have all experts from Central Water Commission. Everybody is using some technology. We have Director Sri Govardhan Prasad ji is from hydrology. He's using modeling technology for assessment of the water resources, project hydrology. We have Mr. Chandra. He's also using modeling technology for the flood forecasting. So there are many. We have tie-up with the Google. CWC is having tie-up with the Google. So lots of things are being done at the technological front. But second thing which I mentioned, that we need to have a regulatory framework. And that is the main key point, that we should have a regulatory framework at the river basin level. For that, there is one bill called River Basin Management Bill, which is going to be introduced in the next session of the Parliament. So this is regarding water governance, and those things are regarding technology.